Welcome everybody to another episode of Wiki Weekends. I'm your host for this episode, Lucas Holland, and I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Karl Smallwood.
Hello.
And Karl, we are on another video where we ask our lovely patrons to help decide the topic.
I'm gonna guess, given your outfit, which is awesome by the way, I want to steal it.
Thank you.
And you stole my green screen, so next time at your house, that might disappear.
What green screen, Karl? I don't know what you're on about.
Oh, well, is it something comic related?
It is comic related, and I asked our fans to vote on what I deemed a battle of the Gwens, so to speak.
So is it Gwen versus a concrete floor?
It was Gwen that failed a battle against a concrete floor, which is
10-0 matchup, right? Gravity and Gwen Stacy, 10-0 matchup. Ooh.
Yeah. The Gwen Stacy that is deceased from Earth 616 was an option. Then we have Gwendolyn Stacy from Earth 65, which is Ghost Spider. Then we had Gwenpool and also Gwenum. And Gwenum's the same Gwen as 65, but the video would have been more focused on the Venom Gwenum aspect, right?
Yes.
I had some drip to give away the winner for this episode.
Give away then. It's like, oh, I want that.
No.
I'll have it.
I ain't giving this shit away because this is one of the sickest jackets I own. And
what Lucas doesn't know is it's already mine.
It's like the cat ears don't help giveaway. It's like, how much more uncool would Gwen Stacy be if the hood went up like this?
What?
You're the only friend I've ever really made after Peter died.
Well, the thing is, I don't know how it stays on the head when she's swinging around. I'll put my hood up when it's a bit windy and it flies off my fucking head. Whatever tech she's got to keep that shit on her head is amazing.
That's the best spider tech invented, right? Is just keeping a hood up.
Presumably it's just a bit of web, right? So have you ever heard that of Spider-Man has the weird sticky shit all over his body and he can use it to keep his mask on?
Oh, okay. So when people try to peel it off, it's if he doesn't voluntarily let it go, it just sticks to his face.
He can also put it on his back as well, which is how he can sometimes stick people to his back and swing around. It's wait, what? Well, we're not talking about Spider-Man.
We are not, but we are talking about Gwendolyn Stacy, Earth 65, also known as Ghost Spider in the most recent iterations, and it's a little bit confusing because I've heard her referred to as Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy, so I guess the wiki will be able to help out with that. As far as I'm aware, all that happened was when Gwen Stacy got into a universe where there were other spider people, it's well, Spider-Man's already taken, Spider-Woman's already taken, I need something else, right?
Well, the thing is though, right, just say Spider-Man and then just refer to all of them at once, who cares? They're all Spider-Man, right?
Maybe you want specific credit for being a better Spider-Man than Spider-Man, right?
Spider-Man, if he was smart, when 14 other Spider-Man rocked up, would not tell anybody and would just let criminals think Spider-Man is fucking everywhere.
Yeah, that would be absolutely terrifying. It's when we talked about Sue Storm, right? Just keep her name in every single superhero team because she's the Invisible Woman. You don't know whether they're bluffing or not.
Yeah.
It's just say that Spider-Man is that fast that he's in all of New York at once.
If there's 4 Spider-Man and people see multiple Spider-Man, say, oh yeah, did you hear about the 45 Spider-Man who rocked up today? It's no crime. Done.
You roll a d20 and get whichever Spider-Man, or you roll the 0 and Frank Castle turns up instead and just shoots you.
Listen, asshole. There's one of you and 6.
Why do people commit crime in New York? It makes no sense. Have you ever seen the map of here's all the superheroes who operate in New York? And it's okay, so this is where the Punisher is, never go there. Do you
yeah.
Mufasa's what's that over there? It's never go, you're a criminal, a young aspiring criminal. So daddy, who are we going to rob today? Well, first you need to look at the city. What's that area over there with the sniper rifle scopes on it? That's Frank Castle's area. Never go there.
It's that's Hell's Kitchen. We don't touch Hell's Kitchen.
Have you seen the trailer for the Daredevil and he's just fucking snapping people's knees off?
Yeah.
It's yes! What? Finally, we've got a hero who's like, you know what? You can't commit crimes without legs.
Oh god, like I watched it and like literally one of those moments where you like can't look as I see him like jumping over to jump on that guy's leg, and I'm like, no. Going all the way back to Gwen Stacy here, Karl. We have quite a long quote attributed to Spider-Woman here. You're a good cop, Dad. You put on that badge and carry that gun because you know if you don't, someone who shouldn't will. When I put on this mask, I only did it because it freed me from responsibility. I thought I was special, and Peter Parker died because he tried to follow my example. I have to take responsibility for that, to make his death mean something, but I can't do it in a jail cell. This mask is my badge now. If I don't define what it means, monsters like this will. This is where I'm needed most.
So I'll be honest. It's no, with great power comes great responsibility.
It's not quite as catchy, is it?
I feel bad for like writers trying to write either new Spider-Man storylines where they explore his origins,
or reboots of Spider-Man for Peter Parker.
Yeah, the other Spider people, because every time they have to dance around with great power comes great responsibility, and it's just say that. Just say with great power comes great. It's a fantastic quote.
It's excellent, and I think they did an alright job in No Way Home, but I think I've just got into the clip that I could find from like whichever Amazing Spider-Man it is. I think it's the first one where they just absolutely butcher it, and it's like they went in so many circles trying to just not say the quote.
But your father lived by a philosophy, a principle, really. He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
I think it might have been Civil War when Tony introduces himself to Spider-Man. And they, again, have that, like, when I have the power to do something and I don't, then, you know, bad things happen. And that's fine. But, yeah, in No Way Home, I can't remember whether she straight up says it or says something a lot closer. But when Aunt May, you know, tells him...
She says, yeah. She says, with great power comes great responsibility. And do you know why I like that? Because when he meets Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man... It's how they connect as Spider-Man.
Yes.
Because she says, well, when May dies, she said, with great power, bang, Peter Parker from the other universe, comes great responsibility. And they're like, why do they keep trying to not use the line instead of using it as a connecting moment for all the Spider-Men and Spider-Women of, you all lost somebody, and through whatever reason, you heard this quote.
Yeah. And it's similar to, like, the way that Across the Spider-Verse did it, right? With, like, the canon event of, like, you need to lose that one person that you give a shit about the most in your life.
And it needs to be something that you could have stopped to teach you that with great power comes great responsibility.
And whether that be Uncle Ben to Peter Parker or to Gwen Stacy in Earth 65, that be your Peter Parker, because... obviously, this is like a kind of what-if scenario universe where it's like, oh, well, instead of Gwen Stacy dying in Peter Parker's arms, what if Peter Parker died in Gwen Stacy's arms and she was the Spider-Woman?
I couldn't save my best friend, Peter Parker. So now I save everyone else.
Tell me more about, like, Spider-Gwen now.
Well, we will get into... you know, the names and the aliases, and hopefully band names belonging to Gwendolyn Maxine Gwen Stacy. Her current alias is Ghost Spider, and her previous aliases are Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, and Venom.
See, Spider-Gwen sucks as an alias because it's got your literal name in there. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, I believe that's just, like, what they were using.
Editorial name, right? It's the editorial name.
And that's now presumably why they've got the alias of Ghost Spider, because you can't keep your fucking name in your alias, because the moment the public are like, oh, hey, it's Spider-Gwen, it's like, I wonder who the fuck that is.
Unless you're the Punisher. Where everyone just knows, like... one of my favourite things about the Punisher is that everyone knows it's Frank Castle. Which is actually kind of genius if you think about it, because it doesn't matter that people know who he is, because the fuck are they going to do about it?
I've also just realised as well, I'm very on brand for Sony right now, like drinking from a PlayStation cup.
Sony would approve, yes.
They would indeed, but yes. I'll go here because, you know, Ghost Spider does have some extra nicknames and like other aliases and stuff. Ghosty, Gwenum, Gwenny, Gwenny, different spellings, Gwenzel, Main Gwen, Spider of Ghosts.
I'd buy that album.
I'd buy an album from Spider of Ghosts.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
And then just, of course, Spidey. And then the other aliases are listed as Lisa Rogers, Radioactive Spider-Gwen. It's like, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Gwen, Radioactive Spider-Gwen.
Fucking guitar solo all day, let's go.
Oh, God. The Spider-Girl, Spider-Man, mistakenly in Earth 616, and I think that's when they're like, you need to think of your own fucking name. You can't just be mistaken for Spider-Man in your entire life.
So I was thinking, but, well, Spider-Gwen will have a clearly different silhouette to Spider-Man. There's like, she has assets that the regular Spider-Man doesn't, but at the same time, is any criminal going to notice which version of Spider-Man is whomping their ass and doing like a 45-hit combo while they're floating upside down?
Yeah, like when Spider-Man turns up in a different outfit, nobody questions it. It's like, that's Spider-Man. Is a guy swinging around and webbing people up? That's fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, doesn't matter what they're dressed like, that's clearly. Like, no other hero swings around like a spider and calls me a dipshit. As they power dunk me into the pavement at Mach 3.
Mm-hmm. We also have Stacy, Teenage Mutated Revenger Turtle.
That's tortured. I don't like that. That's like that took too much effort to get to.
Yeah. You got Tigra La Muerta Face.
So Tiger Death Face.
So
you know what? I'll
Tiger
buy
Death
that
Face.
album.
Yeah.
Tiger Death Face.
And Miss Woodley. That's a bit of a downer one to end on, but I do like Tigra La Muerta Face, or, of course, Spider of Ghosts. The affiliation that's most important, I guess, is like the Spider Society.
Which is terrifying, right? It's like, I don't like the Council of Reeds, because Reed Richards is a huge bell end. And all the Council of Reeds does is talk about how we should run the universe. The Council of Spiders is just when Spider-Man's like, yeah, I can't pay my rent. Can someone help me pay rent?
Oh,
it's like the group chat where it's like, kind of down on my luck a little bit. Can I just borrow a few Spider-Men?
I wonder what that group chat would be like if it was the case. Like, has anyone got any spare money for rent? And then every other person is also messaging the exact same thing. Of like, has anyone else got some rent money? I don't.
How many weekends do you think the council, like the Spider Council, has to help other Spider-Man move to a smaller apartment? That's like 90% of their daily activities, right? But also, can you imagine how fucking busted it must be if, like, you remember that council and you can call in another Spider-Man whenever you want?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. And there's also the Order of the Web, which I believe is, like, Madam Web related. Just clicking on that and seeing, like, the first picture where it's like, oh, here's, like, 6 different awesome-looking characters. Like, do you have a favourite Spider-Person design?
I'm classic. I'm old school. It's the black symbiote suit, but specifically the version Black Cat made for Spider-Man out of cloth.
Right, okay.
So it's the one where it has like the white patches on the outside of the fist made by Black Cat.
Not like the one actually made out of Venom symbiote, the one that's like, well, Venom's gone, but that was pretty sick look. Like, let's
what
make
Black
you
Cat
one,
says,
right?
yeah. Like, because Black Cat says black is sexier.
Mm-hmm. My favourite 2 that I can think of are probably... I really like both symbiote and a lot of different versions of, like, classic Spider-Man. Really like Miles Morales' design. I also really enjoy the Miles design from, like, Into the Spider-Verse, where it's, like, spray painted to make his own version over the Peter Parker outfit.
Which is kind of cool, yeah.
That's a cool idea, but just both Ghost Spider and Silk are both, like, such sleek, cool designs. And I think
Silk is, a really great interpretation and innovation upon the, like, classic Spider-Man design. It shows how versatile he is as a hero, because there's almost every spider hero has such a wildly different design, but as long as they have that spider on their chest and they strike that pose, that's Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things, right? Of, like, every time you play a Spider-Man game, it's like, oh, where are the 100 different outfits that I can pick from? Because Spider-Man just, as you say, it's so easy and difficult at the same time to, like, make a good spider outfit, where just a lot of them don't hit the nail on the head, but you can still recognize it's Spider-Man from just very basic things like the spider symbol and generally like some web patterning somewhere as well. Even one of the ones where like I don't really think it looks too much like a Spider-Man outfit, but it's still close enough that you recognize it as Spider-Man, is the Homecoming outfit, where it's just like him in like a hoodie and sweatpants and goggles and stuff, and it's like, but that still looks like Spider-Man, even though it's so simple and different.
Gave you a choice. You chose wrong.
Oh, what the hell?
What's with the crappy costume?
Going back to Gwen Stacy's design, I think, like, not only do I love the colours used in the outfit, and I think, like, you know, bits, like, on the arms and stuff, like, it's just such a cool design. But
it shows what we mean of, there's almost no Spider-Man colour scheme on there. I think it's purple in the comics, right?
In the comics, it's purple.
Well, I've got, like, a picture of Ghost Spider up now, and it might just be the lighting, but it's white, purple, black with blue ballet pumps.
No, it is pink. It's got like a tinge of purple, but I think like the main image that they use on the Wiki page, like on the Marvel Wiki, it's just like purple lighting affecting the tone of the colour.
And the hood as well. The hood is a completely, like, you know, it's a not completely unique, but it is a radical departure from the classic Spider-Man, but you still recognise it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that like separates Ghost Spider's design from a lot of other Spider-Women, where just like the hood looks sick as fuck.
The hood is so good. So I think Spider-Woman has her hair out.
Yes, yeah.
Which does make sense, because like, imagine trying to get an entire like mane of hair into a form-fitting outfit, right?
It's like when you see people who have got really long hair try to fit it all into a bald cap, right? And it's like, it's possible, but you're left with like
your head looks like a little tall.
Yeah. Oh god, you're left with like a fucking Pinky in the Brain look. Moving on, Carl. We'll go to like the history, and I'm gonna try my best to like cherry pick here, because the history is surprisingly long considering the character's not that old for the comics, right?
Well, I guess the main thing we need to know is it's she's Spider-Man, and then Peter Parker, if I remember correctly, he becomes the Lizard.
I think he becomes the Lizard, but we will find out, Carl.
Which is my favourite Spider-Man villain. Bring him in. Like, the Lizard's my favourite. I want him in Marvel Rivals. I want to be a Lizard. And he better wear the fucking lab coat.
The thing is, like, when we did the Jeff video, we talked about, you know, what characters we want to see and stuff, and mentioned, I think, like, elements of the Rogues Gallery of Spider-Man. Just not only, like, the Sinister Six, like, you could fit, like, the entire Sinister 12 and more from Spider-Man in Marvel Rivals, and all of them would have like cool different ways that you could interpret the moveset to make it work in that game. Like, the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery has got to be one of the goofiest and strongest Rogues Gallery in all of comics.
What just does arañitas?
Let me guess. You're Scorpion, but we're the Spider gang.
Would you mind taking this outside?
We don't pick the ballroom, we just dance.
Because every member of it looks distinct. Like, you don't confuse any member of Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery for any other member, except for the Hobgoblin.
Mostly different animals, right? That's kind of the gimmick, is like animals or animal-adjacent things. Like, obviously, Kraven's not an animal, but he hunts animals. And, like, obviously, Spider-Man is, like, the perfect hunt. But yes, it says here that Spider-Gwen, Gwen Stacy, following her mother's death, she was raised by George Stacy alone. Gwen's free spirit and artistic inclinations often put her at odds with the type of ethics her father would work to instill.
He was a cop, right? So
yes, exactly. So he's like, don't fucking go out and do anything creative. How dare you?
How dare you be creative? You must like be a unfeeling cog in the machine. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. As a result of this contrast with her father, Gwen would often retreat into quiet seclusion and play the drums. Fuck yeah.
So this is why Lucas likes this character.
One of many reasons. It, like, when I realised she also plays the drums, I'm like, yeah, another thing we have in common.
That's it. Spider-Man, though, he plays those bongos. Should we explain that? We always say Spider-Man plays the bongos, and we never explain what that reference is. That's like super inside.
It is, and it's just that, like, Spider-Man's just regular animation of standing still in some of the Marvel vs. Capcom games. He's crouched over and his hands are like this in front of him and he's just like that. And it just kind of looks like he could just play some bongos right in front of him and he'd just be playing the bongos.
He's like idle pose, which is one of my favourite things about like Spider-Man is like when he crouches all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And he crawls around the floor. So how the fuck would you fight that?
Over time, Carl, she developed a friendship with her neighbour and fellow introvert,
Peter Parker!
Yeah, you got it right.
Of course he was. So she's his neighbour, not Mary Jane.
Well, I think that, like, a lot of the time that's the case, right? Because, like, obviously the Raimi movies introduce Spider-Man to a lot of people, but
put him next set.
That kind of Mary Jane is the person that he normally meets in college, but in those movies, that was his high school girlfriend.
Yeah, because like it's normally Gwen Stacy is his high school girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm. And then, like, Gwen Stacy dies, he grieves over her, and then goes to college and meets Mary Jane. I believe that's how it normally would go down.
Yeah, but they turn Mary Jane into the quintessential, literal girl next door.
MJ, about today. At school with Flash.
You really freaked us out.
I'm sorry. Is he okay?
He's just happy you didn't give him a black eye for graduation.
Gwen and Peter Parker, you know, roles reversed a little bit here, but at Midtown High School, Gwen developed relationships with other students, a group of girls with whom she formed the band The Mary Janes.
Oh, man. That sounds awesome as well, like girl rock band.
Girl rock bands are awesome, yeah. Like,
it's fucking sick. Like, go check out Cruiserweight. Love that band.
One I recently got into was Hanabi, who kind of suggested to me as being like a similar band to Baby Metal, but they're in like a metal band where they all play, you know, the actual instruments as well.
Mm-hmm. Before we move on, Luke, can we talk about like the Raimi verse? Is that Spider-Man the superhero in live action who's like fucking swinging the most? Because every single woman that Peter Parker gets within that Raimi movies is a 10-on-10 Stone Cold Fox.
Well, I mean, the fact that he at one point has like Bryce Dallas Howard being like basically used as bait to try and get Kirsten Dunst back is like, what the fuck, man?
But just don't forget as well, not only does he have Bryce Dallas Howard like gagging for it, he's got Mary Jane like Kirsten Dunst. There's also Elizabeth Banks who plays Betsy Brandt,
who he does get a bit flirty with at times, yeah.
When he becomes Dickhead Parker, there's also like the Russian girl,
the landlord's daughter, who keeps coming over and being like, "Hey Peter, like, you know, I hope you're doing okay. It seems like you're a bit down on your luck again."
And she's got the landing lights and everything, just directing him straight in between, like to the pub. And he's having
God damn it,
Luca, you put the clip in of the scene. You tell me she is not 100% wanting some.
I don't want to be this kind of content, God.
Well, she wants it so much. I'm not saying she's that. I'm saying she's got a huge, big, unrequited crush on Peter Parker.
You could just say that.
No. She wants the Spider D, Lucas.
Oh, I'm ending this call. So after being bitten by a genetically engineered spider, Gwen was granted arachnid-like superpowers and started a career as a crime fighter.
Hey guys.
Wanda?
It's Gwen, actually.
Oh, you know her. Very cool.
Dubbed by the media as Spider-Woman, she was given a costume and a set of web shooters by retired crime fighter Janet Van Dyne.
I don't like this. Spider-Man should always either make, or Spider-Woman should always make their own web shooters, or like they do in the Raimi movies, which is the thing that they've put into some comics, Spider-Man should produce their own web. Because one of the things I turned around when I found out that in most incarnations Spider-Man has the web shooters. Mm-hmm. I think that's stupid. Spider-Man should have organic webbing. Because when you think of a spider, what's the one thing you think about when you think about a spider, right? What's the one trait of a spider that is intrinsically linked to being a spider?
I get it, the web, but like, I do like the...
It's the one thing Spider-Man can't do.
It's true, but I do like that the kind of idea around why Peter Parker is the person who's able to invent it is that,
yes,
at very least his power set gives him that like uncanny knowledge somewhere in the back of the brain of like how to make it that nobody else can understand.
So, if, like what Lucas is saying, this is a thing that they've established in some comics. It's never outright stated for the most part, but there's like 1 or 2 comics they say when the spider bit Peter Parker, it implanted in him the knowledge of how to make web fluid, which is why no one is able to replicate it.
Because everyone always points out, like, well, if some fucking high school student Peter Parker can make this like incredible webbing, why is it Norman Osborn just like jizzing it out everywhere and selling it to everyone on the planet?
It's only Spider-Man knows how to make it because part of his DNA being overwritten implanted in him the ability. So in a way, he does make his own webbing.
And that's why I don't mind it too much, because either way it kind of works. Of either he produces it himself, or he's the only person who can at least like create it and produce it in that sense.
I just think it's cooler when it's made in Spider-Man's own body, because it's the one power I'd associate with being like a spider. The fact he can't do it naturally.
You can tell that Carl's like Raimi coded as fuck, right? But I get it, because that is the version that like we kind of grew up with, as well as the 90s version, obviously. But that's...
Do you ever see how they did it in the comics as well?
I mean, not really, but...
Well, how they got him to have like organic web shooters. So rather than just have him like evolve, they had Spider-Man turn into Man-Spider. Then he turns into a giant spider, and then he gives birth to himself as a giant spider, and he comes out of the giant spider womb with organic web shooters. Ooh. And they thought that's like the best way to tell that story, rather than just say, fuck it.
No, don't like that.
Yeah. Spider-Man gave birth to himself as a spider.
Don't like that.
Yeah, let's move on.
Gwen spent most of her early adventures focused on exploiting and maintaining her newfound attention more than helping those in need. Gwen's behaviour then changed after her father expressed he believed Spider-Woman could easily help people. And classic, just the one person in their life to be a good influence, and whether that's Uncle Ben or somebody else, like every Spider person that has that guiding focus, right?
Yeah, it's what makes them Spider-Man, right? Because if they weren't altruistic and wanted to help people with their powers, that wouldn't be Spider-Man. Like, you could have someone who has Spider-Man's exact power set, wears the outfit, but if they don't help people, that's not Spider-Man.
Somebody stop that guy! Hey, kid, little help? Not my policy.
One of the biggest tragedies in Gwen's life was that the bullied Peter Parker, desperate to be special like its idol Spider-Woman, conducted an experiment that turned him into a lizard-like creature. The lizard. Parker then crashed the Midtown Senior Prom, where Gwen fought him, and despite his pleas for de-escalation, Gwen did not pull any punches. Following Gwen's beatdown, Peter returned to his human form, but due to injuries sustained at Gwen's attacks, he died. I didn't realise that, but I really like that as an idea, because it gives her like a more solid foundation to like think about what she is doing and how she is using her power.
I like the way that it's handled for regular Spider-Man of Uncle Ben is killed by a carjacker he could have easily stopped. Mm-hmm. But the idea of like she killed a villain who ended up being a friend. Yeah. That's also a good way of doing it, like by her own hand, and she has to live with that.
Yeah, she has to live with the fact that she like killed her own friend who was just desperate to be like her, and things went wrong ultimately, but yeah, it's a valuable lesson of like maybe you should pull those punches like Spider-Man often does, so that you like don't end up regretting your actions and like killing somebody that you shouldn't have done. And arguably everyone is someone you shouldn't be killing at your own hands, right? But
especially when you've got like the ability to dodge point blank range gunfire, because Spider-Man of all heroes doesn't have the excuse of like I was fearing for my life, because like you're not like you can walk up to a Spider-Man with a machine gun and shoot it at them at point blank range and it's not going to work.
Yeah. We're about to get into some silly shit that I don't understand, and we probably in this one episode don't have time to explain very well, so I'm going to be saying a few proper nouns that maybe we don't know what they necessarily mean. Gwen was one of the first spider totems to join Spider UK's Spider Army in order to combat the Inheritors during the Great Hunt.
Can we just move on to powers and abilities for a moment?
And I just kind of want to like know what like happens in terms of like, so there's the Spider-Verse, which then goes like she returned to her universe, but then Secret Wars happened. And that's one thing that I do want to mention, because obviously we are literally, at the time of recording, got like the MCU plan to build to fucking Secret Wars, and it's like, there was a newer Secret Wars where Spider-Gwen was clearly involved, and I want to roughly know a little bit about what happened there, Karl.
Okay. Now, do you think the MCU is going to stick the landing in Secret Wars?
It's like, I think right now we're at a part where the MCU is back to, like it was in a lot of the first couple of phases, back to being very like hit and miss, kind of 50-50 vibes, right?
Yeah, you ask your friend, is this a good one? Or is this one I can give a miss? It's like, you can give Iron Man 2 a miss.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's how it was back in the day. Just, they did an extremely good job for a few years of like phase 3 nailing hit after hit after hit. And we ultimately got Endgame out of it, but people seem to like, have those rose-tinted glasses already when it comes to the MCU. Of like, no, they were all so good before Endgame, and like, no, it's bad. It's like, do you remember Iron Man 2 and 3? Do you remember Thor 2?
Any questions?
Yeah, can I have my shoe back?
I have faith when it comes to like, holy shit, we've got to make this work kind of movies like Secret Wars and Doomsday and stuff. I'm a bit more skeptical when it comes to maybe those like mid-range movies where, okay, is Thunderbolt with an asterisk really going to hit hard? I don't really give a shit about most of those characters. I do like Bucky, I do like Yelena, but am I really going to care if like Ghost gets killed or a US agent?
I'll have you know I was actually the official Captain America, so...
Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
Like, US agent's the weirdest one because he just murks a guy in cold blood in his first appearance.
Never forget that like there's many times where we see Captain America do the exact same and cheer for it.
Oh yeah.
We recently told on some other piece of content about like the guy on the boat in Winter Soldier that just gets like basically kicked into pieces.
He has no chance, yeah. But either way, tell me more about Ghost Spider.
Well, in the Secret Wars, with the destruction of the universe, an amnesiac Gwen, of course, fucking writing tropes 101, found herself on Earth 15513 under the assumed alias of Miss Woodley, an employee of Oscorp, and teaming up with Peter Porker, who, that's one of the best names, Peter Porker.
Peter Porker's so strong an idea of like, because the person who came up with that was like high on coke and like came up with it on the fly, right? And they were probably there in the editor's office of like, so Spider-Man is a pig. He's called Peter Porker, and the guy just looked up and went, "Get this man some more cocaine."
What's his alias name? Spider-Ham.
Like, get this man more cocaine.
Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig.
Gwen managed to overthrow Mayor Norman Osborn and stop him hijacking control of the web of life and destiny. And I'm going to throw it out there, Karl.
Yes.
I struggled through a lot of that and probably had to cut it up quite a bit. If that's the route we would go down in the MCU of like Secret Wars being like about the web of life and destiny, and Dakota Johnson's just in the background like, remember me? Like
she should be the first casualty.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think they'd be hitting the nail on the head if that's the way the MCU version went. It just sounds like a lot, right?
It's a lot.
Across the Spider-Verse did a really good job of making it complicated and simple enough at the same time to explain across like the 4 hours worth of movie we've had so far. There's other Spider people, don't worry too much about it, and then the canon events and stuff, like a lot of it has just been a kind of like brushing away of, look, there's lots of Spider people, let's move on.
I hate that aspect of Spider-Man. I hate that they try to get mystical with it. Why can't there just be other Spider people who experience, it's like, just, it's the same event viewed through a slightly different lens. Like, it's like the spider totems and it's like, it's so fucking stupid. Why can't they all just decide to work together because they all understand the inherent goodness in helping people?
I've scrolled down to the powers and abilities and attributes and stuff. We will go through the power grid, of course. Like, 1 on the power grid is just like that of pretty much a regular human, and 7 is basically godlike in that sense. And the power grid here for Gwen Stacy, we've got an intelligence of 3, strength of 4, a speed and durability of 3, energy projection of a 1, just because that's not really part of her power set, and then fighting skills of only 3, which is not that high considering that they are Spider-Person.
That's not good. Like, Spider-Man's is like up there. I think Spider-Man's is either a 6 or a 7.
It's definitely one of those two, yes.
Because people say, like, Spider-Man is not as skilled a fighter as, like, a Wolverine, but when you factor in spider sense, you're not beating Spider-Man.
That's the thing is, not only does Spider-Man have superhuman strength, durability, agility, all of this kind of stuff, it's like they also have the spider sense, which is broken as shit.
Like Spider-Man swung home unconscious once on instinct. That's how good spider sense is. Like, there's a comic where Spider-Man loses spider sense, and literally the first thing that happens is he immediately gets hit by a car.
And
because he was just used to having this bullshit 100-foot aura around him that prevented him from ever making a mistake.
And that's why generally in most movies and comics and stuff where it's generally, oh no, Spider-Man's spider sense is being messed with in some way so that someone can land a hit.
It's like, there's very few examples of Spider-Man ever being hit.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time he gets hit, it's like, he can just take it because he knows he's tough enough. Because that's another thing as well. Even if like an enemy lands a hit on Spider-Man, that's not his spider sense failing. That's just his spider sense telling him it won't hurt.
It's not danger.
Yeah. Like, you can take that hit because it's not going to hurt you because you know if it's going to hurt or not.
The one kind of unique aspect here that it sets her apart from Peter Parker's power set is the fact that she at one point had a Venom symbiote, which obviously Peter Parker did as well, but it manifests in different ways here. Gwen lost her powers as a result of Cindy Moon depowering her with the Power Glove, but exhibits similar capabilities as a result of having bonded to the Venom symbiote. You got, superhuman strength, durability, agility, wall crawling, spider sense. They have camouflage. The symbiote can mimic other clothes and camouflage her appearance. So just like the Venom symbiote can just morph, and they use that in a way to just camouflage themselves with different clothes. Constituent matter generation. The symbiote can generate ensnaring tendrils and organic webbing. So that's a way for Gwen to be able to have organic webbing there.
Well, the Venom symbiote can make webbing, but Spider-Man can't.
And I guess that's just more of a retcon than anything, right?
I did always like that, yeah.
Because they didn't think of organic webbing back in the day when they first invented Spider-Man. And then similar to Miles, she has a bioelectricity, which it just says here, can produce electricity like Miles Morales can. And then also a cool one, Spider's Control, where Gwen can control the spider-like creatures that make up her costume and use them like semi-autonomous scouts.
The power Spider-Man does have is it's not talked about much, but an affinity for spiders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes it's talked about like Spider-Man can control them, other times it's just Spider-Man just knows when there's spiders nearby and the spiders won't attack him. Which means realistically Spider-Man should always be carrying like a handful of tarantulas and just every now and again just throw them at the enemy. Right?
I guess so. You're just gonna start like throwing spiders at people and be like, look, distraction. Does say here that Gwen was capable of lifting the Mjolnir of Thor-Gwen's reality. It is presumed, but unknown, if that version of the hammer had the worthiness enchantment. So,
also, maybe he just thought it was her, right? If it's Thor-Gwen, it's like, well, that's a Gwen Stacy, right? You can pick it up.
I mean, at the same time, though, Karl, like, Thor can't always pick up his hammer, right? If he's not worthy at the time, that's how...
That is true.
Get around it. So, maybe, Gwen is actually capable of lifting Mjolnir and is worthy, but that does say that it's not 100% confirmed.
Like Spider-Man, there's a reason Spider-Man can't lift it despite ultimately being an altruistic hero. It's because Spider-Man doesn't kill. And like the hammer requires you to be able to like act with intent or something like that. There's like some bullshit explanation someone came up with at some point for why Spider-Man can't lift it despite arguably being the most worthy hero because all they care about is like justice.
Yeah, it's like you've really got to try and write yourself out of that corner, haven't you? Like, there's got to be some reason that Spider-Man can't necessarily lift it, but at the same time, like, yeah, he's generally portrayed as the most pure hero of basically all of Marvel.
So what's the like most bullshit character who could lift it, right? Who do you want lifting like Thor's hammer?
I mean, maybe just give it to Spider-Ham, because then he can use cartoon logic with Mjolnir.
Oh, that'd be great. So I'm just like thinking, like, I don't know why it'd be funny, just Professor X. Just something about like just give it to Professor X and enjoy when he flies.
We've talked a lot about Professor X in the past, like being in wheelchair, but I did see a statistic of like, technically now that like there's been a long run of Professor X not being in a wheelchair between like the original creation and now, there's actually nearly as much comics where Professor X isn't in a wheelchair. I'm like, oh my god, no. You can't be doing this to me.
The thing is that it's one of the most iconic things about his character. It's like, I'd argue it's one of the most...
To us, as 90s kids, yes, because we specifically had like the 90s cartoon and those X-Men movies and stuff, but I guess to comic book readers, it might not be as intrinsically like part of his character.
I guess he does limit his like the storytelling potential in a way, but just the fact that one, it's disabled representation, but also like thematically, the fact that
like
he is
the fact that it's more about his mind than his body, right?
Yeah.
You might underestimate him if he's in a wheelchair or whatever, but he's got the greatest mind in all of Marvel, essentially.
Never forget, like, X-Men Evolution, like the first episode of that has Professor X, like, getting one of the X-Men into, like, school. And he has like, a little monologue in his head where it's like, I think it's Kitty Pryde or something like that, trying to convince Kitty Pryde to not be a dipshit. And it's like, moulding the youth of today will be a challenge, but that's a story for another day. Now I have my own challenge to deal with, and it zooms out, and he's at the top of a flight of stairs. And it's just... and it's like it's an obvious joke, but I don't recall any other piece of media with Professor X ever joking about the fact that the smartest man in the world has to like, oh for fuck's sake, I've got to like figure out how to get down a wheelchair down a flight of stairs.
That is an obvious like joke to make, but you've got to remember, Carl, that Doctor Who was making that joke about the Daleks for like, what, 30 years?
Until they flew.
Until they decided that they can fly, yeah.
Oh my god.
Thank you all for watching this video. Let us know in the comments what your favourite Spider-Person is. I presume there's going to be a lot more Penny Parkers nowadays, considering that they're like really good in Marvel Rivals.
Also, so does Penny Parker's a great design.
It is a great design, yes.
The versatility of Spider-Man as a concept is the fact that you still understand a character who doesn't even have powers to be Spider-Man.
Like, she has a suit of armour with a spider in it, and it's like, you know what? That's a Spider-Person too. Let's go.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Thank you to everyone that is still watching this video. We would like to end by just shouting out the people on the highest tier of our Patreon.
Yes, that level of support is very much appreciated, and as a result, we would like to specifically shout out the following people.
So shout out to Be of Awesome.
Say the line, Bart!
Be of Awesome.
And one, Dan Daly.
Well, pay the man.
Dan Daly.
We love you.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
And of course, Lam de Llama.
They'll cheer for anything. Watch.
And of course, Lam de Llama.
And we do apologise for any mistakes in pronunciation there. If we did make a mistake, please let us know on Patreon or over on our Discord, both of which you can find linked below.
Thanks again for your support, and hope to see you all next time.
Cheers.